Hi YouTube, it's Janelli here, also known as Miss Be Helpful. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about equal distribution of your finances with your partner versus equitable distribution of your finances with your partner. These are very different. I really hate when people think that there's only one way to do something. And that could be literally anything. It could be anything, but just the fact that there's no one right way to do anything. There's so many different approaches that anybody can take to accomplish anything. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the big difference between two ways and talk about where this came up from. So I was actually swiping on social media like plenty of us do when we're bored. And I saw a social media post that said, my partner and I have way different income levels. How should we combine our money in a way that makes sense for both of us? And it just kind of like rang a bell to me because previously, not too long ago, a friend of mine actually asked me the same thing. She's like, I make only $35,000 a year and my fiance makes $250,000 a year. How in the world is it fair that we're going to split rent equally or that we're going to split bills equally when, just paying half of the rent is like almost my whole monthly income. And then he has all this extra money to spend. And so I definitely agree that doesn't, like, it might sound fair to say that you split rent equally because, it's two of you got in the apartment, but at the end of the day, that is not necessarily so equal. So on this post, my response was, why do people think that it's necessary to combine all their income? It's not the only way. Add up your incomes, and then whatever percentage of the total is your income should be the percentage of all your joint expenses that you contribute. So for my visual people, it's kind of like a pie, and you need to make sure that your piece of your income pie, of the combined income pie, it matches as equally as it possibly can match up to the expenses pie. Equal means 50-50. But that's equal. That sounds like it's fair, but it's actually really not, because equitable means that the percentage of the total is the same for your income and for your expenses. So let's do a quick example here. Like, for example, let's do some easy math. So my friend who said 35 versus 250K, that doesn't add up to a nice round even number. So let's, for example, say that she had told me that she makes $25,000 and her husband makes $75,000, and that was their situation. 25,000 out of 100, which is the total. When you add up both their incomes, 25,000 plus 75,000, you get 100,000. So that would be the total of their income pie. It's $100,000. And her piece of the income pie, 25,000, is only 1/4 of their total income pie. So when you look at their expenses pie, she should be paying about 1/4 of the rent, 1/4 of the electric bill, 1/4 of the cable bill, 1/4 of their cell phone, whatever stuff they share. It should be that way as well, because they're a partnership and they're bringing in this total pie, and yet they're splitting things out differently according to their expenses, even though their income looks totally different. So, and that is one way that you could do it. That being said, I know I have seen a lot of people backlash after reading this, and say, how in the world is that fair? How is that equitable? That does not make sense, because we're sharing the apartment equally. We both live there the same number of days, the same amount of time is being spent there. We both sleep there. We're both there 365 days a year. I mean, how is that fair, right? It's about fair usage. But the reality is, it actually doesn't come down to how much you use it unless it's an unequal balance. That's what I would say. So for example, let's say one partner stays home all day long and works from home, and that person makes $25,000, but then the other partner who makes $75,000 is out all day working at an office. That would start to feel unfair. I totally agree. Like, I think in this specific case, then it would feel like, okay, you might have to make an adjustment for your specific situation, because it's not fair that the partner who stays home all day long, spending all the time in the apartment, living there, working there, spending all their time there, that person only earns $25,000. But even though they're spending all their time in the apartment, getting more use out of the apartment, they only pay 1/4 of the rent, because their income is 1/4 of their total income pie, versus the other partner pays 3/4 of the rent, but they never home. They always working and they only come home to shower, eat, and sleep. And maybe weekends they're home. So that, I would agree, starts to feel like that ain't fair. That's not necessarily equitable. It's supposed to be equitable, but it's not. So I do think that even if you're going to do things based on the percentage of the total pie that your income is and matching that to your expenses pie, you still have to think about the specifics of your situation. It is a case-by-case basis at the end of the day. And so for me, that is one of the huge flags, I think, is when people start to think there's only one way to do it, or there's just the rule we have to follow. that person might be not necessarily closed-minded, but they might not have the mindset that is as open as you want them to be, because you want to be able to go back and forth and you want to make a decision that is best for both of you, because it's not separate anymore. If you're going to be in a partnership or in a relationship, you have to really think about what's best for the unit, for the partnership and for the entire household, which means you might have to make some sacrifices or some changes and make sure that it actually is, equitable to both parties. So I really do think, like, people say the word equal and that really means 50-50, which for me, I don't necessarily think is always fair. Just because it's 50-50 doesn't make it fair. I do think that this is something that a lot of people are, either comfortable with or are aware of or are doing because, you just feel like you're supposed to split everything 50-50. And so I really do think that this is the kind of thing that we need to bring, shed more light to this conversation, to this topic, and make sure more people are aware that there are plenty of ways to split money. Even, for example, when it comes to banking. I know a lot of people say, oh, when you're engaged or when you're getting married, now it's time to merge your finances. In that post, I kind of cringed a little bit because the post said, how do we merge our money? How do we combine our money in a way that makes sense? Why do people think that when you're in a relationship, you have to combine all of your money? Like, you don't have to do that. All of your money doesn't have to get combined. So if, for example, if you were to go through and look at your rent, your groceries, your bills, and kind of come up with a monthly expenses that you have to do together, maybe add a little bit more for some buffer, for some wiggle room. And then both of you could figure out what is your piece that you're going to contribute to that. And if you have a joint bank account, put that amount in there every month. And so that each person still has their own individual bank account that they are responsible for managing on their own, and also have that joint bank account where you do everything for the household together. I just don't understand when people feel like because they have to, because they're in a relationship, because they're married, because they're joining together their life with someone else's life, that they have to pour every dollar that they have worked hard to earn, to grow, put it together with someone else's. Because when you do that, you're giving that person who you have a joint bank account with 100% equal rights and equal access and equal responsibility for the money in that bank account. And that to me just does not necessarily seem fair, doesn't necessarily seem wise. So it's okay if you have a joint bank account, but just know that you don't have to put everything you have in that joint bank account. You can always have, and I believe should always have, your own money on the side, your own bank account. In case anything ever happens, you have your money to handle your situation, your finances on your own, independently from someone else. Just because you're together with someone, that doesn't mean that you have to become one blob together and just become like one thing. Like, you're still two separate people who have two separate, minds and two separate schedules and two separate lives. And just because you're sharing time together doesn't mean that you have to literally become one blob and share everything together and put all your money in one giant pile, because that doesn't necessarily always make the most sense when there's so many things happening, like infidelity occurs, or maybe financial infidelity could occur. Somebody could be clearing the bank account and just disappear, and they have 100% legal right to do that because they have joint, access, which means they have equal access. So all these things happen all the time, and then people go, oh my goodness, I can't believe they did that. Well, I can believe they did that because they had access to the bank account, right? So at least if it is something that type of situation that happens, you have your own on the side as well. So that is just something that I feel very strongly about. I don't think I would ever put all of my money into one account with one other person, no matter how much I love them, no matter how much how much time we've been together. It just, to me, it's not the most logical thing to do when you are your own person, regardless if you're in a relationship or not. You're always going to be your own person. So you always want to be able to have your own money. You want to get them a surprise gift. If you have a joint bank account, they're going to know everything you take money out for. So like these kinds of things, it just sort of takes away a lot of the things that make relationships work really nicely. I think communication is really important. So obviously having a joint account helps in that aspect. But I do think that there's other little things that it just removes from the relationship. So having separate independent identities is really important in my opinion. And I think that when you join everything and just become one blob, it really ruins both people having their own identities. And that can definitely have a negative toll on the relationship. So hopefully all of these things are racing through your mind and giving you the idea that, hey, there's other ways to do this. I don't have to do money the way my sister does money, the way my mom and dad do money, the way my coworkers do money. I can do money the way that me and my partner think works for us. And that is something that I definitely think more and more people should believe and should embrace, because at the end of the day, personal finance is personal. That first word is so important. It's based on that person, based on every single person's, personal preferences. And so that's why money is so special that way, because it really depends on what you like and what you don't like. So hopefully this video gave you some more ideas. In the comments below, let me know what you think about equal financial responsibility versus equitable financial responsibility, specifically when we're talking about a couple in a romantic relationship. So in that kind of a partnership, not like you and your BFF who share an apartment. That's different, because you're not going to be sharing an apartment for the rest of your life with your BFF. One day you're going to go off on your own. So definitely let me know below what you think. And I'll link below the social media post that I saw in case you're curious to see my comment and what other people commented as well. That will be in the description box for you to check out if you're curious. I'm on social media, so find me there. That's where I found the whole post that inspired this video. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter. So find me there, connect with me there. You can also reach out to me at MissBeHelpful@gmail.com, which is my direct email. And I promise I'd get back to everybody. It just might take me a little while because I get a lot of emails. But if you reach out, you will hear back from me. And then also you can reach out to my Google Voice number and leave a recorded message. I will listen to it and get back to you with a video right here on my channel. So you might come back and hear your own voice here. You never know. But that's pretty much what I have. So hopefully this was helpful and got you thinking. Till next time, peace.